Hey gang, it's me. Today I came across this post on X or Twitter by John Bryce Belgrove. By the way, that's not his name. That's an alias. He says, "I'm confused how black South Africans celebrating Johan Rupert Springboks but fighting Johan Rupert otherwise. This guy is clearly a race hustler who is completely ignorant of what he talks about. He supposes that black people are a monolith. I'm black. I didn't even know that there was war against Johan Rupert in this country, and all my friends predominantly they are black. Therefore, and none of them have ever relayed this war to me. Perhaps he wanted to address this to Julius Malema, who seems to be obsessing over Johan Rupert, but he didn't have the balls to address this to the right person. But nevertheless, he should be regarded as a race hustler that he is, and is very divisive in his approach. The Springbok is South African and it's got nothing to do with Johan Rupert. We are going to support the country. We do not need his permission because we are South Africans. We do not need his permission to support our own team, the Springboks, the Bafana Bafana, the Banyana Banyana, and all national teams we are going to support, regardless of whether they are fully white players or fully black players or a mixture. That is unimportant, because what is important is the competency of the competitors that are in the team. We've got to get away from race hustlers like this individual, because clearly he doesn't have a clue what he's talking about and what he's trying to poke at. He's trying to divide the nation by coming up with such divisive comments. We don't need his permission to support the Springboks. We've been supporting the Springboks since 1995, which is a year after our freedom, when they won the World Cup. If you paid attention to how jovial the mood was in the streets right throughout South Africa, is demonstrative of how we are as black people, right? We are a very forgiving people, very reconciliatory in our approach and attitude. However, the reason why the DA will never win elections in this country is precisely because of idiots like this guy. The reason why Julius Malema is gaining support in this country is because of people like this guy. And for me, it doesn't make sense that there should be people who happen to be white who go out of their way to try to make fun and poke at black people, even when they criticize the ANC, which I do that a lot. I criticize the ANC a lot, but even then they criticize the ANC, you can see they are not coming from an objective place. They are coming from a place that the ANC is black and therefore it ought to be criticized. Such white supremacists and race hustlers needs to obviously at all times be put in their place, and that is why I bothered to do this video, because it doesn't matter what he wants to say about the Springboks. The Springboks are a South African team. They're a South African brand. Nelson Mandela sold us the idea of retaining the name Springboks, and because we respect elders and we respected him as a president at the time, we obviously agreed with him, and we're not going to change the Springboks because of people like this. However, he needs to be very careful. You see, William Nicol has just been changed for reasons unknown to me to be a Winnie Madikizela Mandela. So he needs to be very, very careful. There are idiots who are in charge in this country like him, so they may just try to perform him in their idiocy or imbecility by changing the name of the team from Springbok to something else. All I'm simply saying here is that people like this obviously need to be dealt with everywhere they are seen, because just like I always comment on Julius Malema's nonsense about taking land from white people without compensation, there's no way you can do that without going to a war. Okay, and that is why all reasonable people, regardless of their skin color, can never vote for the EFF, right? We need a better solution, and I believe that the free market economy, the markets makes provision for everybody like myself, to come from poverty and be wealthy. It doesn't necessarily say that because we're born poor, we are going to remain poor. Many white people in South Africa, for example, are in the middle class and below the middle class, right? But if you look at how they value certain principles, which when you look at the same principles when they are valued by black people, they achieve the same results. So we need to move away from the notion that we are oppressed, which is a message that Julius Malema is sending, because we are not oppressed right now. No one is oppressing us. This is a Freedom Day, and we need to move away from this notion that the Springboks are a white team, because they are not. Right now, of course, just like you have Orlando Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs supporters, not all black people are going to support the Springboks for a reason known to them. For an example, when Bafana plays against Brazil, I support Brazil and I'm a South African. Now, you can never convince me otherwise. Why? Because of the brand of football that Brazil play. Yeah, in my heart, I wish deep down in my heart that South Africa would win when they are playing against Brazil. But it's a hopeless case, okay? Why? Because, I mean, really, have you seen how Brazil plays football? Okay, now because I'm not a fan of Brazil and I'm not a fan of football anymore, I may not have watched Brazil in the last 10 it can't be 10 years, since 2015. I've not been watching football. I've not been watching any sport for reasons known to me, but it doesn't necessarily mean those who want to watch sport shouldn't watch sport. But the reason why I made this video is to appeal to South Africans to unite and support Springboks as much as they do, or rather would do, and ignore race hustlers like this John Bryce Belgrove. As I said, that's not even his real name. He doesn't even have the balls to give you his real name, because he knows he's hustling, he's race hustling, he's trying to divide the country, because a divided South Africa benefits certain individuals. Okay, it doesn't matter how much money Johan Rupert has. He doesn't own the Springboks, nor does he own the country. He may believe that lie just like Bill Gates wants to believe the same lie. The truth of the matter is that our freedom, our independence is entirely dependent on us. We are not owned by any individual. Nevertheless, you tell me what you think. Individuals like these necessarily, obviously, because I don't have a Julius Malema's attitude, but it is individuals like this that makes me understand why some people would want to vote for an EFF, because ultimately white people have done a lot of harm in this country. There's no doubt about it. Now they pretend as though corruption is new with the African National Congress. Read the Super Africana. Read what you call Guns and Money. Okay, just go and read the history of South Africa during apartheid. That was a very, very corrupt government, without a doubt. But today they want to pretend, because they are banking on black people's ignorance, that they don't like to read books, which of course is a stereotype, because I read books. So you would find that the apartheid government was extremely corrupt. The very fact that we are having an infrastructure that is failing now is evidence of corruption of the apartheid government. Yeah, sure, I criticize the ANC for not maintaining that infrastructure and for not developing it. But I'm not talking about the ANC right now. I'm just simply trying to point out to you that people like this makes you understand why, as defective as Julius Malema's thinking is, but they make you understand why people will resort to. Because you need a bigger person to rise above such trivial comments that are being made in the public domain, okay? And not be triggered by them, but address them without being triggered by them. This idiot is a racist. And you know what? I'm one of those people who don't believe in hate speech, okay? Hate speech cannot exist in a democratic country. That's my view. So he is allowed to make statements like this publicly, because by such statements we get to know what is in his heart. Without these statements, we don't get to know what he's thinking, okay? But obviously we can never be like him. That goes without saying, okay? As I normally say, for those of you who do not know, racism is extremely evil. It doesn't matter who perpetrates it. It's demonic. It's an evidence that we are demonically inspired. So I don't know how can a person who's demonically possessed to be proud. I guess the very reason to be proud is because demons are proud beings, spiritual beings, very proud. So people who go to the public domain to always seek to be divisive, to always seek to divide people based on their color lines, you did not make yourself. Okay? Your whiteness has got nothing to do with you. Your blackness has got nothing to do with you. So now, for people to go around like some black hustlers who are black supremacists that I've criticized in the past because you didn't make yourself black. Yeah, sure, black is beautiful, without a doubt, but you did not make yourself black. And you don't have to compare yourself to anybody. It's the same with what you call white people like this John Bryce Belgrove, who seek to divide us based on our color line. He didn't make himself white. So even if he believes that white people are superior than black people, as a white supremacist that he is, he has no grounds for being proud of being white. Of course, there are no bases for believing that white people are superior to black people in any field or thought. But nevertheless, that's not the point. The point is, he did not make himself that skin color. So how can you be proud of something you didn't make yourself? My children didn't make themselves to be born in my family. And I've known this since I was 15 years old, that my parents' house was not mine. Whatever state of wealth or lack of wealth that my parents were in had nothing to do with me. I vowed, I remember very well, a young boy who came from a rich family who was making a mockery of the family from which I was coming from because we were poor at that time. I pointed out to him that, look, what you see there, that's my parents' achievement. That's not my achievement. Right? When it comes to our achievement, you are always going to be second best to me. There's nothing you can say about what your parents are doing on your behalf that will lead or result in me giving credit to you for what your parents are doing for you. You are always going to be number two if we are in the same class. If we are performing sport, you are always going to come second best. And as you would see, when we become adults, I'm going to achieve much more than you could ever dream of ever achieving. And you guess what? That happened exactly as I have said when I was 15. So what is the point I'm trying to make here? What happens to you in life is 90%, right? Your life is 90% about your reaction, only 10% about what has happened to you. So that is why I always say to black people, apartheid is something that has happened, it's in the past. It's idiots like this one that wants you to always go back there, and Julius Malema, because they are serving the same purpose, just coming from a different angle. Ignore race hustlers. You can never succeed if you focus your energies on these individuals. Okay? Now, you may say, if I didn't focus my energy, I shouldn't make this video. No, that's where you are wrong. I am saying people need to be educated about what a race hustler is. Okay? It is very, very important. We cannot allow them to be in the public space without us correcting them. Because you see, on Twitter, for example, I did not respond to this, and I will not, but I'll also place this video on Twitter. But what is my point? My point is this. When a person makes race hustling statement, you need to respond to them, right? But your response should also not be race hustling. No. There's a lot of good white people that I've met in my life. Okay? Not all white people are racist. That to me goes without saying. But this individual supposes that black people are a monolith. But I know that white people are not a monolith. But it takes an ideologue, an imbecile, to believe that white people are a monolith or black people are a monolith. That's the point that I'm trying to make. You need to break through these shackles that are binding you. Okay? Break them down. Arise above racial attitudes, because you did not make yourself whatever race you belong to or tribe you belong to. You didn't make yourself there. But now that you are part of that tribe, be proud of who you are without amplifying the wrong things about you. Don't amplify your blackness, but never be ashamed of being black. Don't amplify your whiteness, but never be ashamed of being white. Do not allow a Julius Malema or to make you want to apologize for being white. Do not ever allow people like John Bryce Belgrove to want you to apologize for being black. That's the point of this message. Okay? So that's it. As far as I'm concerned, that's it. This is just nonsense. He's spewing his racist vomit here with an intention to entice you to descend to his level. Do not condescend to his level. Rise above it. Support the Springboks if that's what you were doing. Unfortunately, now I'm not into sports, as I said, for reasons known to me. They've got nothing to do with the Springboks. I don't even watch football, which I grew up playing. I don't watch boxing, which I actually grew up playing. So those are two sports that I played right throughout my teenage years. Right? Okay, guys, that's it. You tell me what you think. He can be confused all he wants. His confusion is a cognitive dissonance that black people are in charge. And guess what? They are going to remain in charge in this country for as long as, regrettably on my part, I don't want the ANC in power. But because of people like this guy, when many black people see the messages like this, they get to be triggered. And I've been saying this for years now. I remember commenting on Sowetan Live many years ago. And there was a white guy there that always commented and made some very sly remarks that sought to create an impression that black people were morons. And I once said to him, you know, it is idiots like you that makes the ANC to remain in power. This must be about 10 years or so ago. Because to be honest with you, people like me have been saying the ANC is going to destroy this country. Why? Because it's black? No, because of its policies. Look at its policies. Many people have not paid attention to the policies of the ANC. How can a country be run by people who call themselves Democrats, but they are in union with communist ideologues, without they themselves being communists? It's impossible. And so you see that the entire communist ideology permeates through their actions, through their looting of state resources. I mean, look at Chavez, what he's done. Okay, I don't want to get on a tangent now of communism because I hate it with a passion, with everything that is in me. But then again, John Bryce Belgrove would not believe that because in his mind, all black people are communists, forgetting that that's not an ideology that was originated by black people. It is white people that came up with this ideology. But obviously, Karl Marx was white. His friend there, I forgot his name now, and it's not important to me, was also white. And the countries that started this ideology are white. There's no black country that started communism. Okay? But nevertheless, it's got nothing to do. Communism is as evil and demonic as the demons that are occupying an individual like John Bryce Belgrove or a Julius Malema to be a race hustler. Race hustling, guys, is an obvious demonic influence. Let me tell you that. Stay away from it. Okay? Let God arise and all his enemies be scattered. Deal with idiocy like this wherever you find it and move on with your life. Have yourselves a lovely day. You are welcome to comment on this video below. Enjoy your day. Bye.